Welcome to the Payday with Rayray Podcast, hosted by yours truly, Rachel Bell. I'm here to make your life easier as an entrepreneur and teach you everything I've learned about building multiple seven-figure online businesses. And on this podcast, I'll be giving you my best advice, trainings, and mindset shifts so you can grow your business and, most importantly, make every day your payday. Hey, Payday babies! On the release of this episode, it will be my birthday, and I'm turning 25, and in honor of my, next revolution around the sun and the fact that I'm still alive, hey, yeah, such an accomplishment. I decided to do a highly requested episode, a get to know me episode, because although I talk a lot about Instagram, sales, marketing, business, and all that stuff, I very rarely actually talk about me, my personal belief systems. I interweave it into everything that I share, but honestly, I haven't actually shared a lot about who I am as a person and where I come from and, all the different stuff that I get random questions about throughout the years of doing what I do online. So I just thought it would be really, really fun. And I got the opportunity to have one of my best friends and my roommate, Samantha Skelly, interview me for this portion of this episode. So thank you for joining me, Sam.
You are so welcome. I'm excited to learn more about you myself.
It's going to be fun. So the way that we're going to do it is just a quick little rapid fire Q&A. I asked you guys on Instagram what you wanted to know about me that I haven't shared before personally. And the questions that came through were very, very interesting. I got a lot of questions ranging from where do you like to shop to what's been your favorite psychedelic experience to what's your love life like and what was your religious background? What do you currently religiously believe? All the stuff you could possibly imagine to get to know me as a person is in this episode. So we'll dive in with some light stuff and then we'll get hot and heavy. How about that?
I love it. All right. You ready to rock? Are you ready to reveal your soul?
I'm ready.
See, what Rachel doesn't know is I'm just going to make some questions up myself.
I'd be okay with that. You're a really good interviewee. And by the way, short little plug. If you haven't listened to Sam's podcast, it is currently called the Hungry for Happiness podcast. And just so you know, if you have some background as well, if it takes us a little while to respond to each other, it's because we're both leaning into the same mic. And it's like our faces are 2 inches away from each other when we have to speak at the same time. So just give us a little bit of grace on the response time. It might be a little laggy, but we're doing our best here. 2 girls, 1 mic. Let's go. All right. So, all right, I'm ready. I'm ready to dive in. Let's do it.
Rock in. Where do you buy your clothes and what are your favorite brands?
I'm so glad you asked, Samantha. I get this question all the time. No, nobody asked me about my fashion sense ever because it's not that good. But if you want the comfiest clothes, I am your girl. So I order a lot of clothes from Alo Yoga. I love their cropped sweatshirts, and Outdoor Voices has the best sweatpants. I am a sweatpants connoisseur, so that's where I get my favorite ones. Lululemon is always a staple. And I actually love shopping local from boutiques around here. San Diego made clothes. I like doing that. And honestly, Instagram knows what I like. So sometimes I'll get an ad or something, or I'll see someone else wearing something and I just order it straight from there. So I'm not really loyal to any brands other than Alo Yoga. Spiritual Gangster is another one that I really love. And whatever, Sam's wearing, I'll just take it from her sometimes and wear her sweaters around the house and then put it back before she sees. Confession.
So I love this next question, and mostly because this was literally the conversation at dinner that you and I had last night. We were talking about our relationships with our family. So the question is, what is your relationship with your family like?
My relationship with my family is, at this point in time, really positive. So I'm happy to report that. I have a mom, I have a dad, and I have an older brother who is 14 months older than me. His name is Boyd. So growing up, a lot of people used to say, oh, your brother's Boyd. Is your name Girled? And it was just so creative. So that was cool. Shortly after that, we were both homeschooled, so we didn't have to deal with that anymore. But anyway, my relationship with my family is good. It was obviously stressful growing up. I think everyone has stress with their family when they grow up because they want to be their own person. And I always kind of felt like a black sheep in my family. So I didn't really see eye to eye with them on a lot of different things. When I was growing up especially, there was a big emphasis on religion. And not because they wanted to force me into any religion. I never got that vibe from my parents necessarily, but I was put into situations where that was the vibe. Like, for example, I went to a homeschool high school for just homeschooled kids. Just wait, it gets better. You go twice a week, and then they load you up with like 7 to 8 hours of homework per day so that you can do that when you get out of class. So I was going to this homeschool high school, and every time you go to this high school, there would be like mandatory chapel services. You'd have to do Bible study classes. You'd have to learn how to defend the religion in apologetics classes and things like that. So it was just very much, if you're not on board, you're a bad person. And that was the vibe that I got from that. So of course, I wasn't really seeing eye to eye with all of that stuff. And it did put some stress on my family life growing up, because I believed that my parents were responsible for putting me there, and I kind of blamed them. Now looking back, it's one of the best things that ever happened for me, because I learned how to actually explore spirituality from a different lens and to make my own judgments and beliefs based on what was taught to me, but also what I discovered on my own. So long story short, my relationship with my family now is pretty positive, and that's mainly because I've done so much healing work to see them as people. Oftentimes, I think that we project this idea onto our parents that they need to be perfect. They should have done this for me. They should have done that. They should do this. But we forget that they're just human beings. Like imagine if, and maybe you are a mom or a dad right now listening, you are just a person and you can't be perfect. And to constantly project that need for perfection onto your parents is just not fair. And I think it's our duty as adults, when we finally grow out of that, to be honest with ourselves and say, okay, what can I forgive my parents and my family for? Where can I see them eye to eye? And repair any relationship that I want to repair with them. So that's what I've done my best to do over the past few years of doing a lot of personal development. And because of that, I think that we're in a really strong place at the moment. So it was cool. And just to go a little deeper in me and my brother, we couldn't be more opposite. Like the whole nature versus nurture argument, I don't know where I stand on that, because we are completely different human beings, me and my brother. We couldn't be more opposite in every single way imaginable. So that's been interesting, but I think this last year has been really good for our relationship. I expressed to him I wanted to have a deeper relationship, and he, expressed to me that that's what he wants as well. So sometimes I just have to have patience with my family. Like there may be some years where we're further apart, and there may be some years where we're closer together, but now that we're in this place, it's good. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
I love that. I didn't know that about you, about the whole Christianity religion thing.
Oh my God. Really?
I got kicked out of Sunday school for bringing Eminem lyrics to Sunday school. I wanted to learn the "just lose yourself in the music," that one.
Yeah.
So I hid them in my Bible. It looked like I was reading the Bible, but it was like full on Eminem.
You were memorizing Eminem. Yeah. Well, they thought you were reading. Yeah. That's so Samantha.
So I got kicked out. Anyway. During the time of this recording, not only is it the day before Miss Rachel's 25th birthday, it's also quarantine time. And so what I'm loving, dude, is so many of these questions I've been asking you over the last couple days. So I already know the answer to this next one, but it's very good. When you were a kid, what was your dream job when you grew up?
I love this. My dream job when I grew up was either being an artist or a veterinarian, because I wanted to save the animals, or as I used to call them when I was little, the aminals. I love aminals. And then I also, as I grew up a little bit and got to my 7th or 8th year in life, I decided that I wanted to be an animal rescue officer, like one of those people that would kick down doors and go save little pit bull puppies and be like, "You're a bad person, get in jail, I'm taking these animals back to the vet." So anyway, I wanted to be that type of person. And being a business coach was definitely not. I did not say that in kindergarten class. Like, I want to be a business coach. That's never how it starts. So I just wanted to be artistic, expressive, creative, and help the animals.
I love that so much. So this is a great one. I'm so excited to have you answer this one. What is your opinion on weed and mushrooms? Do you use or approve of these?
Yeah. So this is an interesting question, because obviously everyone has a different opinion, a vastly different opinion on the use of recreational or sacred usage of psilocybin or mushrooms, as you might call them, or weed or whatever. I'm not a fucking scientist, and I'm not a doctor. I'm just a regular 25-year-old human girl who runs a business and has an amazing life by my standards. And I've created this through so many different modalities of healing and inner discovery. And yeah, psychedelics have been one of those tools that I've used. And in the past, it was funny because I actually had my first psychedelic experience before I had my first alcohol experience back in the day when I was, a teenager. and that was offered to me in a situation, I was like, hell yeah, let's go deep. And oh boy, it was deep and it was a lot to handle. And I'm actually really grateful that was my first introduction to a mind-altering substance, because it taught me so much about myself. And it was actually one of the things that helped me on my healing journey of overcoming my disordered eating, overcoming a large amount of body image issues and my self-harm, my depression, my anxiety. I felt like it was a big acceleration tool towards self-awareness. And that's really what it was for me. And yes, there were uncomfortable moments. And there's a lot of people who will say, oh, you might have a bad trip or your brain will never be the same. And I don't know the science on that. I've done my own research. And for me, I think that it's something that I now use as opposed to recreationally. I use it in scenarios where I really need to enter into a new chapter of my life and I'm in a safe, like the space is very, very purely held by people who are experienced and people that I trust. And it's not just like, let's get fucked up and go party. That's not really my vibe with it. It's how can I use this to explore myself, explore my spirituality, and use this as an acceleration tool with personal growth. So yeah, I think that it's not really casual for me at this point in my life. It used to be when I was a teenager. I used to drop acid and go to the zoo and things of that nature. Kind of a psychonaut. And now I definitely am not in that territory at all. I do have no desire to do things like that. It's more of a self-exploration tool. Same with weed. I think that, yeah, definitely growing up in Colorado, I got into this whole weed scene, getting stoned every day, wake and bake for a period of my life, especially when I was just starting out as an entrepreneur. And then I had periods of time where I was like, I'm just sick of it. I'm done with it. And I never really had an addictive personality. So that was lucky for me. Addiction does run in my family, but luckily for me, I did not have any, core desire to continue with something that I knew wasn't serving me. So I was able to release that and pick it back up whenever I felt like it was truly going to be helpful. So now during these times, I, maybe a few times a year will embark on a psychedelic experience. And with weed, I'll do it every now and again. When I'm looking to have fun or just relax or go inward, but it's definitely not like a daily habit. That's something that I try to look at whenever I'm using substances, whether it's caffeine, and that's something we don't look at a lot, like prescription medications or caffeine or whatever it is. Like, how much do you rely on something to get you through your day? And is that actually the healthiest thing for you? I know for me in particular, relying on alcohol or weed or something like that is not a full body yes. It's not aligned. So I try to distance myself from any habitual usage of substances. And that's my take on it.
That's beautiful. I love the piece that you said about how mushrooms really helped you with disordered eating and body image issues. My experience as well. It was really cool insight on that. What was your biggest failure and what did you learn from it?
Being born. Take me back into the womb, Mom. I'm done here. No, I think it's hard to say like what my biggest failure has been, because I think one of my skill sets has actually been recovery from failure and using every single failure as a lesson. So yeah, there's a lot of things that I fucked up. Like I have a trail of just mistakes that I leave in my wake, and that's the way it should be when you're embarking on new territory. But I think that if I could think back to the one time where I felt like the most failure, like I felt like a failure, it had to be the time where I made this amazing post. It was at the beginning of my journey. I was trying to sell this offer that was like, it was so irresistible, guys. I was literally, don't even pay me until I get you the results that you want, and then pay me a very low amount. And I did like 20 or 25 sales calls for that offer. People were hopping on it. They're like, fuck yeah, I want this. Got on a call with every single one of them, and I wasn't able to close a single one. And keep in mind, this is a free offer. I couldn't even close it for a free offer. It was literally like, I'll grow your Instagram account by 10K followers in 30 days. If I don't pay me. I couldn't get a single, like that was definitely a moment where I locked myself in the bathroom breakdown, as you call it. And I just cried. I put on the poop fan. I was running the water, and I just cried and cried and cried because I felt like I let myself down. I let all those clients down. I was fucking humiliated. And I just felt like a total failure, a total mess. And I actually questioned quitting at that time. Like, maybe I'm just not cut out to be an entrepreneur. Maybe this is not for me. I can't see how I would ever be comfortable with sales. And it's just so funny to look back on that now, being so confident and comfortable with that type of situation that it wouldn't even faze me now. Like if I lost 20 sales calls right now, I'd just be like, oh, what does that mean? Like, what do I have to work on, instead of taking it personally? I think that's been my, biggest success that came out of what it felt like my biggest failure.
I love that you shared that. I know your followers, your listeners are really resonating with that because they're probably in a similar situation where they tried to do something. They're like, this is going to be easy. This is going to be such a win. And then it was a complete flop. And I know you so well. And I know your level of resiliency and getting back up and your determination. And it's so beautiful. And yeah, have bathroom breakdowns. I love a good bathroom breakdown. They're nice. They really are. They really are.
Wait. I never log on Facebook, but the other day I logged on Facebook. All I see at the top of my newsfeed is Samantha Skelly's post in all caps. She goes, "Hey guys, make sure you cry today. Feels really good. Okay, bye." And that was it. I'm like, thought leader of 2020 right here. But you're right. It feels fucking good to have a breakdown. Yeah. As long as you stop making it wrong, feels good.
I'm here all day, Rach. Here all day. Do you know your human design?
Yes, I do. I mostly do. I think it is a generator. I remember because the person who taught me about it was saying, okay, I think it was Paige Michelle. Yeah, she taught me that being a generator means responding to life and you'll feel it in your gut. Like it's either a uh-huh or a mm-mm. And that's kind of just, I didn't really understand what that meant at that time. But now as I'm giving myself more permission to listen to myself and listen to my intuition, I actually understand, oh yeah, everything that's felt like a mm-hmm in my system has generated so much income, so much abundance and goodness for the people around me and myself that it's just something that I need to trust more. So that's my human design. And I also think that human design is no excuse. I'm talking to you projectors out there. Literally every projector I talk to is like, oh, I can't because I'm a projector. I'm like, no. No. That's not what we do. We don't make excuses based on our personality types and our human design types. But I think that it is important to know how you can tune into your gifts and tune into your possibilities through using that type of framework. What are you?
I am a projector.
Oh, yeah. Shit.
But I didn't realize that projectors were supposed to quote unquote do nothing. And you know how I operate, full speed, 10 hours a day. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, wow, I've got no adrenals left. I think I need to change something. And so when I looked at my human design, the projector, apparently you're supposed to sit pretty and wait for everything to come to you. That, like, I'm not going to do that, but I need to find a balance.
It is a curious thing, like what would happen if you did, though?
I know.
That's something to explore at some point in your life, I guess. And maybe hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully all the projectors out there can just do nothing and have everything that they want. Tell me how it goes, because I would like that. And if I can change my human design, I would like to submit a request to change that to a projector.
There's no time like right now, though, being a projector, just quarantine, not doing anything. It's real easy to do nothing right now.
For the virus to come to you.
Yeah, wait for the virus to come to you. What are your spiritual beliefs and why? You're a beautiful person.
Thank you so much. My spiritual beliefs can be summed up in 3 words. Oh, actually 4 words. I don't fucking know. There you go. I mean, we don't know what the truth is. And that's one thing that I learned through being raised super religious and going through all that. And then, of course, discovering my own spiritual awakening through yoga, meditation, personal development, psychedelics, whatever it is, people engaging in researching different religions. And I was just like, there's no truth. Everyone thinks they know the truth. The reality is we don't know how this world was created. We don't know what our purpose is. And that's our human assignment, is to find those answers, or at least to feel like we have those answers. I'm someone who's super comfortable with uncertainty. And so it's okay. I feel okay in my body and I feel okay in my heart not knowing, but I have some inklings and I have some assumptions about how the universe operates, and just looking into quantum physics and the way the universe has been developing and law of attraction and manifestation and all that stuff. I believe that energy is just the strongest thing that you can focus on to attract what you want and to be in alignment. So spirituality for me has just been, how can I be the most loving, in integrity and contributing person that I can be? That's my goal, is to become the top level of Rachel Bell and become my highest self, so that I can contribute all that I want to contribute onto this earth during my human experience. But spiritually, I don't know if I'm going to heaven or hell or what's going to happen, or if I'm going to ascend my body and go into an enlightenment, or come back as a seed or as an earthworm or as a dog, hopefully a French bulldog. That would be great. But, I really don't know. And I don't have any loyalty to a specific line of thinking when it comes to religion or spirituality, but I respect all of them, because the reality is none of us know. But if your beliefs make you a better person and they help you become more loving and accepting of others, I'm all for it.
You're an extremely spiritual person, you know, and I think the standpoint you have of just being so curious and not labeling it actually makes you even more spiritual, because you live in this land of like, I'm going to show up and do the hard thing to expand myself and to grow my consciousness and to know myself more. But I don't know the thing that it is to put it into a box.
Right.
And to be in that requires you to have a healthy amount of uncertainty, which you have. So it's beautiful to witness you in that. And I just want to say that just as your friend, because I love you and it's really cool to see you do life.
Yeah. I definitely am spiritual, I guess, if you could call someone that. I am. I have connection to the universe and myself and the people around me, and I see like the light in everyone and everything. And I think that's just my belief, is there's light everywhere, there's darkness everywhere. How can we be the love that holds it all? That's my question to the universe. Thank you.
Oh my God, I love this. The next question. Ooh, what do you not want people to find out about Rachel Bell?
Is this actually, I saw this question come in on Instagram and I was like, I could take this in so many different directions. I could say like what I don't want people to know about me is actually not like, I have nothing there. I have no secrets. I am not really hiding anything. What I find myself holding back most of all, which I think kind of is maybe the answer here, is what I hold myself, is definitely like my personal life, like how I live my personal life, the exploration that I go on. I don't even know how to explain it. It's just, I don't speak a lot about my personal life. And actually this podcast episode is pretty out of my comfort zone, because I have a hard time believing that anyone would actually be interested in what I have to say about myself. I've always in my life established value through giving value in a very tangible way. And I learned that obviously growing up, that's the best way to be valuable and to be, you know, of use. And so I've always prioritized that, and it's gotten me very far in business. But I think that what I wouldn't want people to know about me, because I'm just looking at my behavior and seeing what I hold back so much, is more about my personality and who I am as a person. And I guess I wouldn't like people to know that I'm actually not that confident about losing people's approval. If I'm being completely honest, which that sucks to say, and it's something that it's fine. I'm working through it, and it's kind of my life assignment is to be comfortable with losing others' approval. But I've spent so much of my life doing anything and everything to gain it, being the smartest that I could be, being, everything that I could be to gain approval. Yeah, I'm learning to let go of that need. And I think that I wouldn't want people to know how much I still feel the need for it, even though I've done everything that I wanted to do in life and continue to contribute and grow and all that stuff. It's still something that I'm working through. So, yeah.
That's so beautiful. That's such a good answer. I love it. Did you grow up in Boulder? Did you go to public school? How were you raised?
I was raised on a farm. Seriously, I was. So basically I did not go to public school for very long. I only went to public school from kindergarten to second grade. And then I was homeschooled up until high school. Then I was kind of a hybrid of homeschool and high school. So I went to private schools, wore the uniforms and everything. So polo shirts buttoned up to the top and skirts that went down to your mid calf. Very sexy. So yeah, that's how I was raised. And I did not grow up in Boulder. I grew up in Colorado mostly. And then I lived in Boulder when I moved out of my house. So I'm out of my parents' house. But yeah, that's basically how I was raised. I was homeschooled. It was the best thing ever because I could explore my creativity and my passions. And I'm actually so grateful that my mom homeschooled me, because that was just the biggest contribution she could have ever given me in her entire life. Like that definitely set me up to be more creative and artistic than I think I would be if I had gone to a public school. And it also set me up to discover myself without a lot of peer pressure at the same time, because everyone that I hung out with was other homeschoolers, aka other fucking weirdos. Like they did not know none of us knew how to socialize. We would just kind of like get together on these park days every Friday and play around in this park and like interact, but it was very awkward and none of us knew that we were being awkward. And I just remember feeling so nervous to go into high school because I was going to interact with other kids regularly. And I'd be like, oh my God, what if I'm not like social enough? What if I'm not funny enough? What if I'm not like, I felt like I was behind in a way, you know what I mean? Like, am I going to be socially, like, are people going to make a dirty joke and I'm not going to get it? And then I'm going to be stupid or weird or like the outcast. I didn't know. So it was a very interesting experience, but that's a little nutshell of how I was raised.
That's so cool. That is so cool. I begged my mom to be homeschooled and she was like a hard no. I think I'm going to homeschool my kids though.
Yeah,
like if it, I feel like that's my vibe. We'll have kids, we'll homeschool them together, then they won't be weirdos, right? If we just get enough people to do it. You teach.
We can quarantine them. Yeah. Stuff them all in a house.
You teach business, I teach breathwork, we're good.
Sounds like
I'm so excited for this next question. Will you tell us about your love life? I'm always curious. You guys, Rachel just smiled so big.
Yeah, a lot of people are curious about this. I actually get DMs a lot like, oh, are you dating? Like, how do you, well, mostly like not, are you dating? But how do you fit in dating with entrepreneurship? Because it feels like a friggin' full-time job. Yeah, so a little history in my love life, because I know this is another question that came through yesterday about like, what is your love history and how do you notice your patterns coming up? So I've been in pretty much long-term relationships back to back, and long-term for me is like, 2 years, because I'm like 13 years old. Okay. So basically I started out, my first relationship I ever had was around 3 years long. And that was in high school. I started as a freshman, ended as like a junior. And then I got into another relationship. That was kind of a wash. He was a little, I won't talk about him on here, but it lasted a few months. And then he called the cops on me during basketball practice. And it was a very traumatic experience. And then they were like, we heard that you have an eating disorder. And I was like, oh my God. So anyway, broke up with him. And then the next relationship I had was around 2.5 years long. And then I had another relationship that was 3.5 years long. So I've had a very few, but very long relationships in my life. And that's just kind of been my pattern. I'm a loyal bitch and all that. I'm just down for the ride. Yeah, so that's been my love life. My most recent breakup was last year. It's almost been a year now. And I, was working in business with that person. We basically went through the whole entrepreneurial come up together. And it was a very like bonded relationship, a very awesome experience to go through that with another person who had my back. And so I'm really grateful for that experience. But ultimately, it was not a fit. Like we had different visions for our lives and for the business. And so it didn't make sense to be together anymore. And that was a very painful experience to break up, and also break up the businesses and our bank accounts and all that stuff and our online reputations. It was very weird to go through that. But out of that came my first ever opportunity as an adult to date. And so that was like my first time ever dating. And guys, I'm a marketer. I know how to date. It was very fun. I got on I'll just give you all the details. I got on like all the dating apps trying to figure it out. Is this normal? Is this what people do? Ultimately, the dating apps got me into a lot of amazing experiences. I discovered a lot about myself and about other people. And that was really fun, but also didn't go the way that I wanted it to 99% of the time. And so I just had relationships that were kind of around. And I played I don't want to say played the field, but I learned what was available and then made a selection in January about what I wanted to move forward with. And so, yeah, I have a boyfriend right now and it's been amazing. And that's my current love life. So I love dating. It was so fun. It was so expansive. And I loved it because I finally got an opportunity to approach it from a standpoint of like, oh my God, not like I hope this person likes me, but I got to approach it from a place of I hope I like them. Like it was a self-worthiness exercise every time that I would go on a date or meet someone new. I had an opportunity to exercise the muscle of like, wow, this is going to be so fun. I hope that we end up working well together, as opposed to, oh my God, I hope they like me. I hope I'm pretty enough. I hope I'm this enough. It was a different experience for me this round. So yeah, that's my love life. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I absolutely love Rachel's boyfriend. I'll just say he's a dear friend of mine too. And so seeing them together is just so beautiful. And it's so cool to see him just really, really hold you in everything that you are. You have this like great bigness and beauty, and he just is so grounded and holds all of it. And it's just so cool. And it's so cool to see you in love. And I love him. Yeah. He's just so great. So he's great. He really is. What's your favorite meal, Rachel Bell?
My favorite meal has to be an English muffin, gluten-free, please. And then you add some Kite Hill cream cheese on it. It's like dairy-free cream cheese. And then you put a little bit of smoked salmon on top of that. And then you cook an egg. What do they call it? The sunny side? Poached. You poach an egg. And then you put that on top. So it's like a stacked bagel experience. And it's breakfast.
Y'all, she has this every day.
Yeah, I feel like it's really good for me or something because my body just craves it more than anything else. It's like, we need a bagel and cream cheese and smoked salmon and eggs. So I just give it what it needs.
Rachel, how did you show up in your business while you were going through a breakup?
I shared really emotional things, emotional posts. I actually got a lot of messages during that time like, hey, are you okay? And looking back on it, it was pretty obvious that I was going through something, but I felt like I was being very discreet. I was just sharing like, hey, here are my lessons right now that I'm learning. Here's what I'm learning to let go of. Here's what I'm currently sitting with. I just shifted into more of a spiritual sharing phase in my business of what I was currently learning, instead of venting to my Instagram. You know what I mean? Like, I think that a lot of people use their social media like a diary. And if that's your style, no shade, but it's just not the way that I like to show up when I'm trying to be professional and add value. I realize that some people really crave that from me and would love to know when I'm going through a mental breakdown. But for me, it feels more aligned to keep that private with me, my therapist, my close friends, my partner, whatever that is, and then come back into the light once I have something of value to share, something that's fully integrated and I'm still not in a vulnerable space, like where someone could, you know, hurt my feelings even more than they already are. So that's just a personal limitation or boundary that I put on myself. But when I was showing up, the good thing about doing a bunch of launches and sharing a lot on social media is that you can actually just save the posts that have performed really well for you in the past and save them into a folder on your phone so that the days that you don't feel like showing up and creating new content, you have a folder of old content that has performed really well for you and that encapsulates your message, and you just drip that out. So you're still showing up without having to expend energy. So I think that's been one of the best life hacks that I've had in my business, where I have an off day and I'm still able to show up for my audience because, you know, this is my business. This is my job.
I love that so much about you. You're so cognizant to not share from the wound. And I see you go through things because obviously you and I are so close. And what I love and admire about you is you really, really take care of yourself, and you don't pre-share for the sake of sharing. You really take care of yourself. You really move through that emotionality. You heal through it, and then you share on the other side of it. And I admire that so much about you because we know that's not the case oftentimes. And for everyone listening, when you share from the wound and then you get feedback that isn't in alignment with what you wanted, it's going to re-traumatize you. It really is. Seriously. So I love that about you so, so much. What are your top 3 book recommendations?
Book recs coming in hot. The Alchemist. So good. It's all about, and you may have resistance because you're like, no, it has to be some business or marketing. It has to be tactical. Just relax for a second. I'll give you some of that too. But The Alchemist is a great story that teaches you so much about leaving your oasis or your comfort zone and what your personal mission is in life. So I love that. I also love the book The War of Art by Steven Pressfield. So good. If you're a perfectionist or a procrastinator and you have a work of art that's waiting inside of you and you can feel it, but you're like, oh, I just don't want to sit down and write it. Read that book. It will change your life. And then the third book that has changed my life, let me think. Oh, okay. This is a good one. Probably the 5 Personality Patterns. The 5 Personality Patterns is a really good book that just outlines kind of how we learn to create survival systems in our childhood based on the traumas that we experience. And the traumas could vary from someone actually is violent towards you or does something horrific to you as a child, which I hope has never happened to you, but unfortunately does occur, all the way to someone just saying, no, you can't have your bottle of milk when you ask for it. You know, when we're young, everything feels traumatic and you can't really compare traumas, but we all learn to survive in the environment that we're put in, whether it's like rosy and we're looking back on it like, oh, I didn't ever get hurt and no one ever said anything mean to me, to if you know that you've had a traumatic childhood, we all have things that we've survived through and learned to cope with. And when we're under stress, we have these survival systems that come back online and take over our systems. So if you've ever had this part of you that feels out of alignment to who you actually want to be, that's probably your survival system. And the 5 Personality Patterns is a great book that outlines all the different types and how to work through them and heal them. So that's my 3.
That's a good one. The 5 personality patterns. I think often you're so right. You nailed it. You look back and you're like, my childhood was great. But it's these subconscious deep things that we forget about or that are precognitive that have a huge effect. Were you artistic or creative as a child, or was it something that you grew into?
Super creative and artistic. Actually, one of my childhood traumas was actually this time where I got my markers taken away from me. I was probably like 3 or 4 years old because I kept drawing on the walls. And so they took away my markers. That's so unfair. And then I found my grandma's mascara in her purse and I started drawing on the walls with the mascara instead. So I learned that that was not okay. But that didn't stop me. So I stepped up and I was like creative and artistic. I would draw anything and everything, primarily aminals. For Christmas one year when I was like 11 years old, I asked for Photoshop because I just wanted to do digital art. So that was like my creative expression during that time. And it was amazing because I learned to create cat drawings that I could eventually trade and sell online. So I guess that was like one of my first businesses, was trading and selling cat drawings online. That was fun.
Why do you have roommates? I'm triggered. I'm so triggered.
Well, it wasn't a negative. It's funny how we take that personally. Like, why wouldn't I, you bitch? No. I have roommates. I'll speak for myself on this one, but I have roommates because I am the most extroverted person. And I never knew that I was extroverted until I moved into a house by myself. And then I was like, all I want to do is be around people. That's all I want. And I'm way more productive. I'm way happier. I'm way more likely to move and get out there and be enthusiastic and take care of myself when there's people around me that are healthy and that are growth expansive oriented as well. So it just makes sense. I would never be roommates with people who did not support my overall growth and did not support who I am as a person. That's definitely a hard boundary for me. Like if I am not around people who support my overall well-being and my health and my growth and my love, then that would be a no. And I would definitely live alone and just invite people into my space as I see fit. But because I'm just best friends with Samantha Skelly and Elise Parker, my 2 roommates right now, it just makes so much sense to move in together. And it was so divine the way that this house showed up for us and the way that the timing all lined up. It was like all of our leases ended at the perfect time and then we were able to move in together. It was almost like the universe or God wanted us to be here. So yeah, that's why I have roommates.
Rachel and I were in Hawaii and a couple months ago, well, I guess that was nearly a year ago now. Oh my gosh, time flies. April. Wow.
April 2019.
And it was when she was breaking up with her former boyfriend. And I just turned to her and I was like, what if we lived together? And it was like this moment of like, oh yeah.
Yeah, it felt so good. I was hoping you said that to me. I was like, oh, thank God you asked.
All right. What motivates you? With all the money you could want, how would you spend your time?
Yeah. How do I spend my time and what motivates me? That's actually a really funny addition to the question, is like, with all the money that you have, like, how do you spend your time? I definitely don't go to the strip club and drop bands, like that's not really my motivation. I don't have like a collection of exotic cars. I don't have a collection of anything really. I'm not really much of a money driven person. And that's always felt kind of weird to say because I work in business. Obviously, that's my space and that's my industry. And a lot of people say, yes, well, what's your income goal for this month, for this year or whatever? And I just never really have a good answer for that unless I actually sit down and actually decide, which I don't often take time to do sometimes because it's not my goal. My goal is not to make a certain amount of money just to make a certain amount of money. It's to impact a certain amount of people and feel the energy of what that impact is. Like, I'm way more driven by the energy of helping people and transforming lives than I am any amount of money. And I would honestly do this stuff for free. But because my industry is business and because I gotta eat, and obviously I want to support a business and an ecosystem that can thrive for years and years and years to come, and I can have the flexibility to offer things that actually help and be patient, I do need to charge. So Yeah, it's definitely not money that motivates me. It's more like the look on someone's face or the relief that someone feels when they finally get the answer that they've been looking for, or when they finally feel the shift in their own energy that they've been so desperately looking for their entire life. And I just remember how that felt for me when I was first being coached and when I was first going through my breakthroughs, and how rewarding it feels to give that to someone else now. It's definitely my main motivating factor.
It's so cool to see you in that space, and it's so cool to see how much you care behind the scenes. Rachel has this beautiful, I don't know where it is. I'm looking around your room if I can find it, but it basically says my why and then all the pictures of her students. And it's just such a representation of how you show up for them. And I know this because I can see you doing it. And then I know a lot of your students, and the reflection is that you just care so much. And it's just so beautiful to see. And it's so incredible to witness someone who she truly means that. I know you do with every cell, and I can see it. It's like all you care about is the deep transformation of humanity and really bringing your students into your world and shifting their life, and then allowing them to have an amazing business. So cool. Okay, we're going to do one more. I think this one is really, really powerful, and probably people are wondering because you are a hot ass bitch. How do you keep fit and healthy when in full business hustle mode?
I was joking with Sam before this. I was like, I don't, but that's not actually true. If I'm thinking about it, during my launches, what I usually do is I'll commit to just a couple easy things every day. Like I'll go for a 45-minute long walk. I know that just knocks over so many dominoes. Instead of saying, oh, I need to work out my legs and then my abs and then my I will just say, okay, if I'm going for a walk, I know that I'm moving my lymphatic system, which is producing more drainage for my toxins. I know that I'm getting sunshine, which is really essential for me. I know that I'm moving and actually practicing my mobility, which is great. I know that I'm just moving my body in a way that's gentle and really easily doable. And I have no resistance to that at all. Like, it's never like I'm not motivated to take a walk. I'm always motivated to do that. So that's easy for me to do. I'll walk every day. Hydrate before you caffeinate. That's just a rule that I have from my health coach, Michelle. So I'll do a big glass of water and electrolytes before I have coffee. And then it's all about just putting like little routines and staple items in your routine so that it's a no-brainer for you to implement it. I don't do like a bunch of fancy things. I just walk every day. I hydrate before I caffeinate, and then I fill up my water again. I take a few supplements with that. And yeah, I'll just say yes to doing things that feel fun. So I know that if it feels fun to go to the gym, or if it feels fun to play volleyball on the beach, or if it feels fun to go for a run or a hike or something like that, I'll just say yes to it and stop focusing on like staying fit, but more like focus on how can I love my body? How can I move it? And how can I make sure that I'm having fun and playing? So that's generally speaking the way that I stay fit during my business launch modes. And again, accountability is really nice. Having accountability to do things and move is really great. So if you have a walk buddy or a gym buddy, definitely take advantage of that, or hire a personal trainer or health coach. I know a few. And get that accountability if you are having a trouble creating a routine that you can stick with. But yeah. That's all my advice, and that's all my stuff. Thank you so much for interviewing me, Sam. This is so much more fun. I was going to do this alone, and she was like, why don't you let me interview you? And I was like, oh, that sounds great. Thank you.
So fun. I actually learned a lot about you.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I love it.
Thank you. Well, guys, that is my Get to Know Me episode. Thank you for listening. If you did not find this interesting whatsoever, that's fine. I will just reopen that wound that I told you about earlier and cry about it. Maybe I'll journal about it. That's fine. But if you did love it, let me know. Tell me, please. No, I'm just kidding.
For her birthday, please just do it.
Please. I'm kidding. All right. You can think whatever you think. Honestly, this is just, all right. So I love it. This is getting worse and worse. All right. That's all I got. That's me. Thank you for listening. Hope you like me. If you don't, I still like you. So take that and have an amazing day, guys. I hope that you enjoy today just as much as I am. Thank you so much, Sam, for joining me. I'll see you next Friday on Payday with Rayray. Make sure that you get out there, you have fun, stay safe. Actually, stay home and have fun and stay safe. Maybe that's better to say right now. But I will see you next Friday, guys, on the next episode. Love you. Bye. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did find it super valuable, you just want to share it with the world, make sure you screenshot, post, and tag me on Instagram so I can stalk your profile and we can connect more. And to get notified on the next episode here on Payday, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes so you never miss a beat. Get out there, secure the bag, and I will see you next payday.